Welcome to The Criminologist, the podcast dedicated to educating and entertaining our listeners. We bring you subject matter experts from around the world and share the latest and greatest evidence-based practices and interventions to help individuals desist from a life of crime and delinquency. We do so by painting an accurate picture of that journey from the perspective of the justice-involved individual. This podcast avoids stereotypes and biases in favor of the lived experiences of those we can best learn from. Now, please welcome the host of The Criminologist, Joseph Arvidsson.
Hello, and welcome to episode 190 of The Criminologist Podcast. Happy to have you all with us today. Last week, we were captivated by the first part of our interview with Billa Nanra. His harrowing journey through addiction, incarceration, and ultimately redemption has set the stage for today's continuation of his remarkable story. As we rejoin Billa's narrative, we stand at the crossroads of despair and hope. His life, once overshadowed by the grim realities of heroin addiction and the cold confines of a British prison, began to shift in an unexpected direction. A simple poster, an unassuming beacon of light in the darkness, introduced him to the Peace Education Program. This moment, seemingly small yet pivotal, marked the beginning of Billa's profound transformation. In today's episode, we will delve deeper into this transformation. We explore how a man, once lost in the depths of his struggles, found a path to inner peace and redemption. Billa's story isn't just a tale of personal triumph. It's a testament to the power of change and the human spirit's resilience. But Billa's journey didn't end with his release from prison. On the contrary, it was merely a new beginning. His experiences, as dark as they were, became the foundation upon which he built a new purpose. Through his YouTube video, Slaying the Dragon, and his engagement with at-risk youth, Billa has turned his narrative into a source of inspiration and hope for many. So, as we prepare to dive back into the world of Billa Nanra, I invite you to listen with an open heart. His story is more than a sequence of events. It's a journey of redemption, a chronicle of giving back, and a powerful reminder that change, through challenging, is always possible. Let's rejoin Billa Nanra's inspiring journey right here on the Criminologist Podcast, and I will see you all on the other side. To recap up to this point, Billa, you are introduced to the Peace Education Program while in prison, and then after release, you get some awesome experience giving back by talking to at-risk students at the PRU schools, which again is short for Public Referral Unit. You're also working with the producers of your YouTube video, Slaying the Dragon, getting some fantastic public speaking experience. Let's pick up your journey at this point in your life, Billa, and we can proceed from here.
So yeah, that was an enjoyable experience at the PRU schools in Leicester. And then with the filmmakers of my documentary, they made another documentary before they made mine, and I emceed and hosted it in Leeds and in Manchester in a really big venue at universities. So that was quite a scary sort of time, to stand up and speak in front of people. It's quite an art. I've done maybe today, nearly 200 sessions of average of 12 people in a session, and I still get nervous. But what it does, them nerves are good nerves because it makes me on point with things, making sure I'm prepared. I know what I'm saying. I've got my material. I've got my script. And, even though I rarely read the script, it's good to have there as a basis. And then I freestyle, and I'd rather have it come out more organically, and then it's more engaging for the lads.
Actually, Billa, that is somewhat of my process as well. Create those notes as a mental safety net, but when it's showtime, really just speak from the heart. Hey, let's talk about now the stage of your journey where you decide to actually go back into the prisons to facilitate the prison education program on your own. What was that experience like?
So after doing the stuff in the community, prisons started opening up after COVID. So we got in contact with our officers, Officer Mac, and then there was another officer called Kerry that we got in touch with to the possibility of starting a peace education program, and me facilitating it as an ex-prisoner to give it that extra layer so people can connect with me or the program. So we first started off on one wing, and off the back of that, it quickly went into 2 wings. So we did like one session in the morning, one in the afternoon. So with the volunteers, we tried to spearhead on the other wings, and slowly over 6 months, we managed to get on every wing. And what I would show them as an introduction to the peace education program was my journey, slaying the dragon, which is quite emotive. It's quite emotional, even when I watch it, and the lads can identify. I sat in the same places, at the same food, laid in them same cells under the same regime, and with all the dangers and trappings that prison has in England, UK. But I think a lot of them came out of curiosity, because they see my documentary and they thought, is he just, just one of them, let's see for ourselves sort of thing. So they came, I had applications. To this day, I've got waiting lists on waiting lists. I can't get rooms big enough. I really can't. I maybe only get to 8 to 10% of the prison population, but because I can only do so many sessions. And as it grew, I remember a story from a couple of lads. You'd get a couple of them and they'll be like this: I don't need peace. What is peace? I don't need peace. And after a few sessions, 2, 3, 4, 5. The penny would drop, the light bulb moment would go, is that what you're on about? Because, especially with choices, choices have consequences, negative, positive, but, just to have like hope, or, to know that, you've got this inner strength, you're bigger than, we are all bigger than the sum of all our problems. We have the power and it's getting to overcome it, and it's the fences or the barbed wire. I used to say the windows, the fences, windows, that's okay. But it's the fences that we have in our mind. If you can overcome them, then you'll be truly free. And we have some great discussions. Obviously, I have a whole script, and sometimes I have to read the riot act out. If it's warranted. But these are prisoners in it, end of the day. But a lot of them. I keep in touch to this day that have come out. I learn so much from the prisoners. They've got so much skills. And I'm thinking, why? Let's get out of here and let's put our heads together. And this is what I'm doing now. And let's do something legit and do it the right way. And hopefully, this is what I'm doing as well, which I'll come on to in the community. So yeah, we built the prison up to 6 wings, and then we invited Prem Rawat to the prison, which he accepted and came on the 26th of July 2023 in the Multi-Faith Centre, in front of about 80 prisoners, and there were about 20 staff and officers. And I got to meet and greet him. I got my book signed as well by him, which is currently on eBay for £6,000. But, I'm joking. It's something I would never sell, just a joke. But then I was able to give a speech in front of the prisoners because they were all my guys that I would see. I had a script, Joe, and I was just going to read it, blah, de, blah, de, blah. But then it was suggested that I should just freestyle it and just speak from the heart, because if I'm just reading off a script, like monotone, the guys are going to think, where the hell's Billa? You know what I mean? We see him week in, week out. Where is he? So I just went on for 10, 15 minutes. Maybe went on a little bit too long, and then I had to stop to get the main speaker on. And then Prem came on, and then I shared the stage at the end for 20 minutes, giving prisoners expressions and questions, which were really, really nice. Some I'd really hold dear to me. And all the lads were they were buzzing, really, because in the Peace Education program, they show videos all around the world in different prisons. One in particular, which is San Antonio, Texas, where they did the documentary Inside Peace. That's where it actually started. And it shows the prisoners' journeys coming into prison and then coming out, and then the challenges and barriers that they had. And that was the documentary that I saw back in 2018 that motivated me to think, wow, look at these guys. Good for them. Let me do me, pick up my game. And, lo and behold, things are coming together.
Billa, when I reflect on your journey, I'm struck by a couple of things. First off, your drive, which I would attribute to this notion of generativity, which we read about in the desistance literature, this need to give back, if you will, but also your sense of resiliency in the face of adversity, how you're able to almost reshape or reconfigure challenges and see the potential opportunities in those challenges. Can you speak to each of those factors and, again, talk about how they've manifested themselves in your journey and on your pathway?
When I think about it, Joe, like when I do things, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's it now. You've done a lot now, chill out. But then 2, 3 other things will come. 1, 2 things might not work, but then 2, 3 other things might work. So it's you just got to keep plugging away. Even when the bad things happen, something that could have happened for a reason, and then something wonderful could blossom from it. It really can, and I've been thinking about over the last 3 years I've been out that certain things might not have gone my way, but there was a reason, and this other avenue opened up. So it's quite interesting to have awareness of all that.
And that awareness, as you note, is part of the recovery process, part of the desistance process. So nice to see these theoretical concepts playing out in real life, Billa. Let's get back to your experience working with the individuals in the prisons on the Peace Education program.
So now I saw the recidivism rate is off the chart in UK. It really is. People are going out technically homeless. The probation and stuff like that are meant to find them housing, etc. They don't tell them how to deal with money, how to even deal with a smartphone. Some of these guys have been in prison 10 years and stuff like that and don't even know what a smartphone is. So, just even simple things, how to go to the dentist, get your ID, get a bank card, passport. And a lot of these people are not in touch with their families, Joe, so they're just going into the same environments with the same negative, toxic people and expecting a different outcome, So seeing that, I thought that I could offer the Peace Education program and some, well-being empowerment sessions for the lads once they come out. And I've successfully started that just this week, Tuesday gone, 3-4 days ago, in the community. So the guys are coming out from the prison, and then once a week, and the location, Joe, it's like 20 yards from prison, so they're never going to not remember the location. You know, seriously. And because people said to me, says, are you sure it's a good idea having them come outside prison, the building opposite? Won't it trigger them or all like that? And I thought, no, because every time I come back, I feel, wow, I used to be in there and look at me now, I'm here. And that was the sentiment for the guys that I just seen on the other day. Look forward to seeing how that develops and moves forward. And just thinking now, you know, with the Zoom that I've been doing, all the voluntary work, I was very, very, very humbled and a proud moment to be actually awarded the Volunteer of the Year award by an organisation in Birmingham called New Leaf Initiative, CIC. And actually last week I went back as a judge to present, you know, to vote for the next guys coming up. So it'll be interesting to see who wins the volunteer awards, you know, which is obviously close to my heart.
Billa, as you speak of your experiences with the New Leaf Initiative and the recognition you received from them, it has me reflecting on the various stages of desistance from crime that we read about in the literature. And beyond that primary desistance, which most individuals can wrap their head around, which is merely not reoffending, there's also the levels of secondary and even tertiary desistance, which entail more about identity transformation, which you are clearly going through and or have gone through. But also when we talk about tertiary desistance, that is the more elusive goal. That involves acceptance back into the community, which is noted. It sounds like a little bit of that was occurring when you were recognized, for example, by the New Leaf Initiative. But talk about other streams of acceptance, if you will, and those all-important ties or bonds to other individuals, which we also know is so critically important in the desistance process. Billa, I'm curious, what did that look like in your experience?
I think the ties that I've built with my family, you know, I came out of prison, I remember, and my mum was like looking at me and she was saying, you know, okay, you did it, you were clean because you were in prison, but now you're back in the community, you always go back to drugs, leopards don't change their spots. And she says, you know, my mum said to me, she says, you forget yourself, Billa, I'm your mum. I can take one look at you and I can tell you what you're about. You know what I mean? So I thought, okay, I'm going to use that same principle when I'm good, so she can see that I'm solid. And it's taken 3 years, but I'm in a real solid position from landing in prison, homeless technically, and not speaking to my family. I remember, Joe, I had to make that dreaded phone call. You know, as soon as I landed in prison or I got sentenced, I'm on the phone to my mum's like, okay, it's me. I'm on the front page of the paper tomorrow, so I want you to hear it from me, because, you know, I've always got some auntie or some neighbour and saying, oh, look at your Billa, you know, he's on the front page. So I just didn't, I thought if I'd at least give her that, you know what I mean, it coming from me. And, you know, I've built on it now and have a beautiful relationship. I'm actually in the process of buying my own house from the help of my parents, cash buying the place. You know, the trust level is immense, and I have a good relationship. You know, we have a good joke, because it's like my mum's got her son back, my brother's got his brother back, my dad's got his son back, but it's got a wider effect as well on friends, families, and people that I deal with. You know yourself, Joe. You know, people judge you by the company that you keep. You know, if you can surround yourself by solid people, you know, you're in a good space. And this is what I've been telling the lads that they come out, you know, but the choice they've got to make. You know, I can't make the choice. I can't live for them. They have to choose themselves, because otherwise it won't last. You know what I mean? Something will put them steps back.
Just so great, Billa, to hear you giving back to those experiencing what you've gone through on your journey. Remind us of your podcast, and then also some great work that you did with National Prison Radio over there in the UK, a great organization, I could add as an aside. But talk to us about what that whole experience was like.
So, yeah, it's, even with the podcast, I remember thinking, I remember now it's 26 pages I had to write, and then record it and then put it out. The motivation for it was just to get my story out there and in the helps of possibly helping another prisoner. So I recorded it for National Prison Radio, but when I spoke to them, they wouldn't accept the recording because I had to have gone. If I want to do it, I had to go into their in-house office or studio to record it there with their equipment. So on the back of that, they interviewed me about my experiences anyway, and then on the back of that, I was offered to host a 4-part mini-series with the Independent Advisory Panel on Deaths in Custody. And as you know, suicide rates in men's prisons, whilst I was there, 4 or 5 people I know that passed away, and a lot of them with mental health or, I think all of them. I think one of the worst one was the hunger strike, to die of being on a hunger strike. I know the food's that bad, but you know what I mean? But it's the care, the level of duty of care, and the officers, they're undermanned, undertrained, underfunded. You've got maybe 4 or 5 officers to 200 on each wing, something like that. And they're all coming at you, bum, 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 bum. It takes a special person to do that job, because you're not just the jailer. You're the brother, you're the counsellor, you're the psychologist, you know what I mean? You're the father, you got to wear different hats. And so my hat is off to these guys that do an amazing job. And I know people say, oh yeah, all the officers are bad. Yeah, you're gonna get elements in all walks of life, good and bad. But the majority of officers that I met made a real difference, and they were there for the right reasons. So thank you to all them guys. But going back to the podcast with National Prison Radio, yeah, it was all around, as I said, being safe during lockdown, and I got to interview 4 people. One was the Juliet Lyon, who was the chair of the Independent Advisory Panel. One was a prisoner like myself who had just come out. The third, his name was Cleo, a solid guy, big shout out to him. The third person, I think it was Cleo, and this was quite interesting actually, because her father was in prison. So I got to interview her on the impact of family members in prison, because these sort of people, I tell the prison, it's easy for us to come into prison because we've done wrong, but our families have not done anything wrong. The impact on their lives when you're on the phone, oh, I need 20 quid on my books, otherwise, for canteen, or I need the latest pair of trainers or tracksuit, hi-fi, whatever. So it was really interesting to hear her story, because she hadn't had a good relationship with her father, but him going to prison, him being an older gentleman, she made the effort. She was worried about him basically, because during COVID that he'd get ill and might pass on or whatever. So she made the effort to try get in touch with him, and she wasn't getting nowhere during COVID because you couldn't do visits or anything like that. So the challenges and barriers that she had to come, and she suffered like anxiety and depression over just worrying about, is her dad going to make it? And not just that, no one's giving her no information straight in a timely fashion, but due to COVID it came like a few days or a week after. So that was really interesting. And then the last guy was what we call a listener in prison. So there's a group called the Samaritans that go into prison and they train up prisoners to be listeners, basically. So they don't give advice, they don't say anything, they're there just to listen to you. So, for example, Joe Bloggs down the wing has had a Barney with his missus, and he's climbing walls and whatnot, yeah? So the officer might say, okay, Billa, you're a listener. Will you just go have a word, just check if he's all right? And the listener part is where you actively engage with them, but you don't give them a solution or say do this or that. You're just listening to them so they can air it all out. So it's quite an important position. So it was interesting hearing, especially COVID, because all the lads were on 23.5 hour bang up. You could just come out half an hour of your day just for a shower, you know what I mean, as opposed to being out your cell from 9 till 4, 5 o'clock to be just out your cell half an hour. So it really did have an impact in prisons, the COVID, and a lot of mental health and substance misuse went up as well. Even the prices went up, apparently, because supply and demand, apparently, I don't know, but the prices went up, I was told, and the quality went down.
Billy, you've mentioned COVID a couple of times, which is hopefully a unique experience that we'll never have to go through again. But how did that factor into your release from prison, into your reintegration experience?
The COVID time was actually perfect for me when I came out of prison, because society wasn't in full swing. So it was a perfect integration to society for me, because it wasn't too hectic. And, I can remember just catching the train to Leeds, and I got off at the train station, Joe, yeah. And I had to I had to actually sit down, because I was just looking at all these women, and I got a little bit weak at knees. So I had to take a seat and just appreciate it all, and just people talking, walking past, and everything was just so fast, because you're just used to a certain lifestyle. But I took it in my stride and kept focused and wanting to help people. I learned that about myself, that, in helping other people, which, is coming from a sincere place, but also it helps me stay focused, have resilience, have determination, and to thrive and have hope in my life. And, if I'm the sort of person now, if I want to do something, I'll do it. And if it doesn't work, not a problem. But as long as I've give all of what I want to do it, it'll work out. And if not, something else will spring from it. So it's quite a journey over these last 3 years. And, I'm only just getting started. It's, I've done presentations in the community for the widow and widowers group, in front of 30 people, doing showcase for a peace education program. This year, Joe, just got my passport back in January, mate. Yeah, so I've been to Barcelona once, and Spain, and then I've been to Germany 3 times, and then I'm going 3 times? Yeah, 3 times, and then I'm going again in 2 weeks to Germany. That passport, yeah, it's just given me a new lease of life, sense of accomplishment, and just to do some honest, hard work, I can look at my bank account and I can be very proud of that, because that's honest, hard working money. I've got a little car. It's not the luxury cars I used to drive, the sports cars, but what I've got now is still a nice car, don't get me wrong, but I'm more proud of that. It means so much. I'm even engaged now. It's quite a funny story behind that as well. Sarah, her name is Sarah, she's from Germany. She went to see Premrauer in Berlin last year at an event. And on the back of that, she was blissed out and, just wanted to watch some more positive things. So she come home onto the old interweb and got onto YouTube and started watching peace education Premrauer videos. And lo and behold, she comes across my documentary. So she seen my documentary, and she tells me that someone came over her, and she started basically virtually stalking me without the raincoat and hat. And she Instagram messaged me over a year ago now, and we was talking. And for the last 6-7 months, we've been together, and we just got engaged a matter of weeks, maybe a month ago, if that. And so that's quite an interesting story to say that through doing positivity and the peace education program, that, you know, not only my professional working life with the Sarah who's got autism, you know, my family's good, my personal life's good, my voluntary work is good. You know, it's, you know, I'm looking forward to a couple of well-earned jars tonight, in fact, thinking about it. So, yeah, and, you know, what holds for the future, I don't know, but I'm going to give it the best shot to be happy, because, Joe, there's no pause button in life. There's no forward, no rewind. This is it. And, you know, and just building and having appreciation for that moment and just moving forward and try to do, you know, make a difference in the communities, do something good. You know, I learn off all the prisoners and everybody who I meet. You know, every day is a school day for me in one way or another. But I'm lucky that I've something about this, what I'm doing. I've stuck with it, with my integrity intact.
You shared your story with so many people, and it clearly resonates. Sounds like you've found a new identity, being that of a mentor, of a coach for individuals who've walked the same pathways you have.
And helping people. You know, I get a lot of messages from all the people saying, oh, we loved your story, etc. And, you know, it's great and I really appreciate it. But often when the prisoners tell me, that's what means the most to me, because they come up to me, you know, and they say, I watched your documentary. I can relate with it so much. And then they start asking me, are you really off the drugs and everything? You know, I'm 5 years clean off drugs, abstinent of heroin and crack and all that. It's quite amazing. You know, before I couldn't even manage 5 days, never mind 5 years. And it just helps the prisoners see someone like me. And when they come up to me, that's what means the most to me. It really does. And just all the other buzzing stuff that I do, even socially, you know, I've got a great set of really solid salt of the earth, you know what I mean, friends. And I've been just... because I've bought this house, I'm a little bit gutted in one sense, because all I've been doing for the last 3 years, is just been bouncing from one house to another. I've got my keys in my pocket, and I've got like 4 or 5 different keys to different people's houses. You know what I mean? They don't know they're not getting them back, or if they want them back, I'll make a copy. You know what I mean? And it's just that it's nice, and the journey's just starting. And when you with like-minded people, you know, something special happens. It really does, Joe. So yeah, just happy to be here. And
we've been happy to have you here on the Criminologist Podcast, Billa. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your insights with our audience. Any other final words of wisdom, or perhaps a new perspective you've taken on since your release from custody and all the great things that have happened to you since then?
Experience and joy, and, you know, even trip up a few times. Not a problem. We're winning. If we're here alive now, even if you guys are listening to this now, you're good. You're listening. Not a problem. Trust me. Because when you're not here. So, yeah, thank you.
Exactly, Billa. What a great reminder of mindfulness and living in the moment and appreciating each day for what it is. Billa Nanra, thank you so much for this 2-part epic interview with the Criminologist Podcast. I look forward to our paths crossing again, my friend, which I have a sneaking suspicion they just might. Take care, Billa. Until next time.
Thank you so much, Joe. Take care, man. Peace out, brother. Bye.
And As we draw this episode of the Criminologist Podcast to a close, we reflect on the incredible journey of Billa Nanra. Today, he stands as a beacon of hope, not just for those entangled in the snares of addiction and crime, but for all of us who believe in the power of transformation and redemption. Billa's story is a profound reminder of the human capacity for change. 5 years free from heroin and crack addiction, his life now is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. He's turned his darkest experiences into his greatest strengths, using them to light the way for others. By stepping back into the very prisons that once confined him, Billa has come full circle. As a facilitator of the Peace Education Program, the very program that ignited his journey of change, he's not just teaching. He is living proof of the program's potential to transform lives. His work epitomizes the essence of generativity, contributing to society and guiding the next generation through the lens of personal redemption. Billa's insights into resilience and desistance from crime are more than just words. They are lifelines extended to those struggling to find their way. His message is clear. Change is never easy, but it is always possible. And perhaps most importantly, it's never too late to turn your life around. As we part ways today, let Billa Nanra's journey inspire us all. Whether facing our own battles or supporting others in theirs, let's remember the power of hope, the strength of resilience, and the enduring impact of giving back. Thank you for joining us on the Criminologist Podcast. May Billa's story resonate with you as we continue to explore the complex tapestry of human experiences within and beyond the criminal justice system. Until next time, keep seeking understanding, keep striving for change, and remember, everyone has potential for a new beginning. Back next week with a fresh episode. In the meantime, you may contact the show or reach out to us through our website, theparagongroup.llc.com, for training or presentations as to core correctional skills, or of course, our innovative TIDES model. If you have questions or comments as to this podcast, feel free to contact the show via our email at thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. That's thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to follow us through our Facebook and Instagram pages at The Criminologist Podcast. New, fun images are being added all the time to those feeds. You don't want to miss out. The Criminologist Podcast is also on Twitter, now known as X. Give us a follow at Crim Media Group. That's CRIM Media Group. You may also connect with me, Joseph Arvidsson, or Billa Nanra on LinkedIn, and follow both the Criminologist Podcast and the Paragon Group on our LinkedIn pages. Lastly, if you've not already done so, check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Criminologist, for additional content as to the themes of this podcast. And if you believe in what we're doing on the show, if you're part of the movement, please spread the word, tell a friend or a coworker or a colleague about us. Ask them to subscribe to the podcast. And of course, do so yourself if you've not already done so. And always remember, folks, there's no them, there's only us.
You know, I used to say the windows, the fences, windows, that's okay, but it's the fences that we have in our mind. If you can overcome them, then you'll be truly free.
The Criminologist Podcast is a production of the Paragon Group, LLC. For speaking engagements, interviews, program design, or training opportunities, please visit us at theparagongroup.llc.com. If you enjoyed the show, you can find more content and videos on our YouTube channel, The Criminologist. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Both the Criminologist Podcast and the Criminologist channel are brought to you by the Criminologist Media Group. Be sure to give us a 5-star review, and thanks for listening.